While you open a position on the exchange, someone already sees it and is trading against you right now, while you watch this video. I have been through this myself. I would set a stop just below a level, sure that it made sense. The price would hit my stop exactly, take me out, and then turn back up without me. A very unpleasant feeling. I do not recommend it to anyone. It turned out it wasn't just bad luck, it's a mechanic I knew nothing about before. So, hello everyone, my name is Captain Sol. Over the last 6 months, I've already made over 100,000 on Solana, not because I got lucky, but because I know who to follow and how to exit trades properly. Here is a small example of my trades, how I traded various projects and various situations. It is quite interesting. My biggest win is Perch plus at 1,000. It was quite interesting. Someday I will tell you about it in more detail, but the most interesting thing is that I did not earn this cash on a CEX. Yes, so if you trade on Binance, Bybit or any centralized exchange, I have some very unpleasant news for you. Your position, and this is likely no secret, is simply visible to the exchange, and market makers see all the liquidity, right? So in effect, this works against you. Today we will break down a few things. Why centralized exchanges are traps by design, not by accident. Where the money actually goes that people have been making in crypto over the last few years. And how liquidity works on decentralized exchanges, so you understand what is actually happening when a token pumps or dumps. A quick summary, right? Why are centralized exchanges a trap after all? On the screen, you can see simple support, stop losses, and an example from the internet.
But in reality, it is just a picture on the internet that cannot show much.
But when we actually encounter this whole story within certain projects and so on, we just go with the flow. And that is very bad. In fact, the market maker just knows everything and does everything to ensure we are left with no money. This is not a conspiracy theory, it is simply the mechanics of how all centralized exchanges work. You are a market participant on equal terms. You are a client of the platforms that earn simply from your commissions and often even from your own order flow. That is where the classic genre comes from, right? The price hits a stop exactly, takes it out and reverses back. We have seen this situation so many times with Bitcoin itself. I do not trade Bitcoin now, not because it is a scam, but because I am just not interested in it at the moment. But where is all the money flowing to, right? The most interesting thing is that on a centralized exchange, you will never see or know this. Why? Because here you can only see a general chart, some order books, and so on. You cannot dig into the blockchain itself because you simply lack the power to analyze everything. Who transferred, how much, where, and why. Personally, I work specifically with Solana. Solana has of course an order book. Yes, it is called SOLSCAN. This is what it looks like. You can test everything here, see who transferred what, where, why, how much, and so on, right? So in fact, it is a book that is open to anyone who wants to read it. If you are already trading on Solana and not using SOLSCAN in your work, at least in somewhere, well, I have some very bad news for you. Most likely, you are just trading with the flow. As my personal experience shows, trading with the flow does not lead to anything good at all. Most likely, the money will simply be lost.
So, what is the point? Someone has already taken the money, we do not know where.
I actually call these guys smart money. These are wallets that have a clear history. They consistently make money from trading. The reason is simple. Everything here is on-chain and transparent. It is this transparency that works for those who know how to read SOLSCAN. You can now use various tools to read wallets and so on. Personally, I use both Claude and ChatGPT in my work. I send them contracts and check them. It is quite efficient, fast, and convenient. A bit later, I can make a separate video on how I do this.
If you are interested, leave a comment. That would be great. So what was I saying?
You can open a blockchain explorer and see every transaction of every wallet, who bought how much, at what price, and when they sold. This is not some kind of insider information, these are public data. It is just that 99% of people do not know how or do not want to analyze them because everyone sees the growth and starts buying. When a token dies there, they see the drop and the loss of money. It is very sad. That is the difference between a centralized exchange and a decentralized exchange trader. On a centralized exchange, you guess what the whales are doing, but on a decentralized exchange, you can literally see what is behind the wallets in real time. So let us talk a little about how liquidity works.
I will show this using this wonderful, excellent image from Jupiter, and I also have this wonderful raydium pool liquidity here.
Great, you can see everything here. I don't use these tools, unfortunately or fortunately, I just don't need them. For my analysis, I use SOLSCAN and gmgn. Regarding terms, on a DEX we don't have an order book in the usual sense. There is a liquidity pool where people deposit money into various tokens. Yes, this right here is just an example. You don't need to buy this thing.
This is most likely a scam, or maybe not. I do not know, I have not checked.
When someone buys tokens any amount, the price moves immediately too. When a token is sold, the price also reflects this whole story in the moment. That is exactly why smart money enters tokens on DEX before any crowd finds out about it. Not because they have some insider information, although that is also possible, we will not deny that, but because they know how to read on-chain activity and see the movement of money before it turns into a green candle. A logical question arises. Okay, let's say we understand that our money is on-chain, but how do we physically track hundreds of wallets, manually analyze transactions, and so on? Honestly, when I first opened SOLSCAN, it was so difficult, it was incredible, just very difficult.
Now let's look at some token, the same one we saw before, and reading all of this, well, it's just crazy. Someone was buying, someone wasn't. Honestly, it was not easy the first time. I will not talk here about how to read SOLSCAN.
There are plenty of similar videos on YouTube, and you can watch them there. Honestly, analyzing SOLSCAN is a very difficult task. Doing it manually would take many hours for just one token, right? When we have several tokens running in parallel and need to process everything, it is very difficult.
I went through this myself. I spent hours checking wallets and looking for patterns.
And it was from this routine that I got the idea to build a simple system that works automatically. This bot of mine runs through Telegram. I use it to check various projects for scams, to find profitable wallets on the Solana network, and to understand where the money moves next. I might write a short post on my Telegram about how this thing works. The link will be in the description. Subscribe, it is free, but most importantly, the bot can automatically filter out noise. It is currently tracking some of my specific wallets that I have been personally monitoring for several months. It automatically shows which good projects are being bought by my wallets, and accordingly, I later analyze these projects myself and then make a decision on whether to buy or not. What conclusion can be drawn from this whole story? The point is very simple. If you still think the market is just centralized exchanges and candlestick charts, you are seeing less than half the picture. Real money movement has long been on-chain, and it is open to those who truly know how to look in the right direction. I mean, you can keep looking at the floor, walk straight into a pole, and hit your head. There is no point in that. But if we look around, we will understand what exactly we need to read. Unfortunately, it is impossible to cover everything in one video, so I will release a separate post in my Telegram channel with a detailed guide on how I read wallets. It might already be there, so go ahead and subscribe. And if this video gave you something new, please leave a like. It really helps the channel grow. For me, it's extra motivation to share and show something new. Also, write in the comments if you've ever traded and it felt like the price was specifically hunting your stop. I want to see how many of us there are. Bye everyone.